The housekeeper was completely unaware she was being filmed. The owner's footage is absolutely shocking. I should have seen what that witch was planning. When Peepa began to suspect her maid Jackie, she secretly installed a slew of surveillance cameras around the property without telling Jackie or her husband Sam. Jackie's approach was brilliant, since the tape she shot quickly revealed her genuine motives. Peepa was shocked that she had ever put her faith in the lady. After seeing the hidden camera film of Jackie, Peepa was seething with hatred. Basically, it proved her worst fears and suspicions correct. Before leaving, she planned to confront the housekeeper. For good cause, she hadn't even informed her husband Sam what she was up to. Fortunately, her timing was perfect. As Jackie was tidying up the house, Peepa sprang through the front door and scared the bejesus out of her. Since Jackie didn't anticipate Peepa's return until the next day, she was surprised when her boss showed up today. The housekeeper's face became eerily white as Peepa revealed the existence of the concealed cameras to her. There was, in her mind, no escaping it. Having seen it all, Peepa had. What, if anything, did Jackie observe on the surveillance film that made her so suspicious? What had Jackie been up to behind her boss's back? Jackie was working her tail hard, and Sam and Peepa thought so highly of her that they told their friends and neighbors about her. They all hired Jackie and had a great time while she toiled away. She cleaned the family's home almost every day. Many of the male companions seemed to be very pleased with her. Despite this, Sam did not employ her because of her physical attractiveness. He was baffled by his pal's enthusiasm for Jackie. Only his wife, Peepa, could compare to her in his eyes. Back in high school, he had met the love of his life, Peepa. They were together for almost 7 years before getting married. Since they were both so busy with their careers, they were never able to take a honeymoon. Sam decided it was time for them to take a week off work now that they had Jackie. Their houseplants and cat needed care while they were away, so they requested Jackie to remain there. They have 2 weeks till their honeymoon, and preparations have been made for it. Peepa, though, is beginning to have reservations about Jackie after hearing some unusual rumors. At first, she avoided telling her husband the news, despite her earlier assurances to the contrary. This new arrangement, though, would see Jackie spending more time at their home. Peepa sought evidence before she told her husband. If she expressed concern, Sam would advise her not to fret. So, she devised a strategy. She informed Sam that she would be leaving for work soon. In reality, though, she waited for Jackie's arrival while hiding herself in a closet. She was curious to learn whether the reports were true. Jackie showed up in the afternoon. Since they started paying Jackie at 10 in the morning, Peepa felt this a little peculiar. Her curiosity piqued. She emerged from the cloakroom to observe Jackie's activities more closely. Despite the commotion, she found Jackie in the kitchen just emptying the dishwasher. Peepa emerged from her hiding place to offer Jackie a chance. She rounded a corner and welcomed Jackie. Jackie's cleaning hours were outside of Peepa's normal home routine, so she looked shocked, but she managed to grin nevertheless. Jackie appeared relieved when Peepa informed her she was going. On the day when Jackie arrived at work late, she was dismayed to see that Peepa was at home. She had something scheduled for today, but now it will have to wait. Since Peepa had already caught her being late once today was useless. That's why she put in additional hours at work in the hopes that Peepa would eventually forget about it. However, Peepa didn't lose track. A different strategy was required if she was going to find out what Jackie did when no one else was around. Sam and Peepa had considered installing security cameras for some time but never got around to it. However, it looked like a good moment to have them put in. When she phoned, the business she contacted said they could send someone out the next weekend. Since Jackie only has weekday hours, it was ideal. Peepa arranged for her husband to be absent from the house. For this shopping trip, she had given him a lengthy list. For the next 2 hours, he wouldn't be returning home. The workmen were constantly coming and going. The cameras were placed in the common areas, including the kitchen, living room, laundry room, bedroom, and guest rooms. Except for the toilet and a few other obscure nooks, almost every inch of the home was captured on film. Peepa had requested that they conceal the cameras as much as they could. After a while, Sam, her husband, arrived home and he too failed to see the cameras. That gave Peepa confidence that her strategy would succeed. On Monday, they were off on their honeymoon. It was Jackie's intention that they take a stroll around the home upon her arrival. Jackie apparently didn't see the cameras, which was good news for Peepa. Confident that her every move would be documented, she relaxed and enjoyed her honeymoon. At first, she didn't think anything could go wrong. But Jackie had other ideas. There was no indication to her that she was being taped, so it should come as no surprise that she didn't play the part either. Later that night, Peepa intended to watch the tape. When they got back to their flat, though, they discovered that the camera app wasn't quite ready for prime time just yet. Peepa felt helpless. To examine the tape, she had to wait until they got back. With everything that was hanging over her head, how could she possibly relax and enjoy her honeymoon? Her husband needed to know about the surveillance cameras, so she told him. Sam was annoyed that Peepa had set up the surveillance equipment without consulting with him beforehand. Although she had promised him everything would be well, he still didn't get it. She explained why she felt she had to do it, and he finally got it. They had a great time spending the remainder of their honeymoon together. Sam and Peepa's home was unaltered when they got back there, much less sloppy. Peepa attempted to review previous video, but the cameras weren't linked to the app, thus nothing was recorded. Although she felt like a failure, she was still intent on discovering Jackie's whereabouts. Strange noises had been coming from their house, according to Peepa's neighbor. More than one automobile had been parked in the driveway. Peepa was troubled by this, so she went to talk to her husband about it. They collaborated to devise a new strategy. When they regrouped, they decided to stay at a motel in the area. Rather than repeatedly intruding Jackie's private with cameras, Sam intended to have a talk with her about Peepa's worries. However, Peepa did not consider this a viable choice. Because of how long she had been kept in the dark regarding Jackie, her paranoia had begun to rise to new heights. With the neighbor's report of weird noises, Jackie's wildest fantasies were confirmed. For as long as the cameras were running, when Jackie first heard the news, she had no idea what it was. Peepa worried that Jackie would see their decision to spend the night apart so soon after returning as suspicious. It was unusual for them to go out together, so the fact that they were going out twice in 1 week made her wonder. But Peepa need not have feared. Jackie was just pleased to have another opportunity to carry out her schemes. Therefore, it transpired. Sam and Peepa planned a romantic night away for the next weekend, and they departed. But it was not a romantic occasion at all. Hell, Sam went out with his pal while Peepa checked into a cheap motel and began stalking the cameras to find out what Jackie was up to. Peepa was unconcerned that her husband was spending time with his pals. Even when told the destination, she made no inquiry. Everything she thought of was Jackie at her home, doing who knows what. Sam, on the other hand, had an opposing opinion on the matter. He didn't like prying into other people's lives, but when his wife made up her mind about anything, there was no stopping her. Oh, she was so set in her ways regarding Jackie. They agreed to spend the night apart due to their divergent perspectives on the matter. Peepa might quickly lose all sense of reason without any calming influence. Not until it was too late would Sam find out. Sam did not give his wife a second of his attention while he was out drinking and partying with his pals. Nonetheless, she did not give her spouse a second thought. They were each so wrapped up in their own thoughts. Peepa followed Jackie about the home while she interacted with her iPad. Hopefully this time she'll be successful in catching her. Peepa didn't glance up from her iPad for hours. Her stomach was growling and her eyes were burning. She looked at her watch and couldn't believe it was already 8 o'clock. Since lunch, she had been poring through the surveillance tape. She forced herself to turn aside and place an order for dinner. But Peepa felt like she had missed hours of Jackie's dance routines. The sofa, where Peepa had left her when she closed the app, was empty. Peepa looked at every screen from every camera, but she couldn't see Jackie. Why is this even possible? Peepa felt a twinge of worry and called her neighbor. Suppose Jackie saw the cameras. For her scheme, that would be a disaster. She phoned her next-door neighbor and politely requested a peek over the boundary. Nothing out of the ordinary was occurring in or around the home, much to their dismay. Even Jackie had left the house. The woman found that her automobile was disappeared. Peepa's frustration was evident, but she tried to keep it under wraps. Someone who discovered her actions could think she's insane or tell Jackie about them. She just could not allow it to occur. Peepa's fixation on the screen had reached an all-time high. Even when Sam contacted her 3 times in a row, she still didn't pick up her phone or respond to his messages. Sam became concerned for his wife's safety and made up his mind to check into their hotel room as a result. However, what he discovers there surprises him. Sam was taken aback by the condition his wife was in when he walked in. She sat hunched down on the bed, looking at the iPad between her knees. She showed zero reaction to Sam's entrance. It was the first time he'd ever seen his wife so distraught. In an effort to preserve his wife, Sam took drastic measures. That can't go on much longer than it has already. He snatched the tablet computer from Peepa's hands and raised it high over his head. Peepa cautiously turned her head toward him, a look of terror on her face. Suddenly, she sprang up and grabbed the iPad right out of Sam's hands. Sam left the room without saying a word since he was so shocked by his wife's actions. When asked about his wife, he froze. Peepa felt some sadness as she watched him go, but she was more interested in keeping an eye on Jackie. It turned out that her skepticism was well-founded. Still fixated on the locked door, Peepa caught a glimpse of movement out of the corner of her eye. Again, she heard noises inside her home. Something was different about Jackie now that she was back at home. She was pacing wildly around the house while clutching strange things. Peepa, skeptical of Jackie's motives, focused in on the items in her palm as she watched her suspicious behavior. Her hands were full with miscellaneous implements. Had she damaged anything by accident? What Jackie is doing, or rather preparing to do, will become immediately apparent to Peepa. Following that, Jackie went to clean up in the restroom. As Peepa did not install any cameras in there, she was unable to monitor Jackie's activity. but she was able to keep track of the time. 15 minutes later, Jackie re-emerged from the restroom, and so began Peepa's downward spiral. Why does she seem to be spending so much time in there? After that, Jackie does something that Peepa can't quite put her finger on. Peepa found the sight quite unsettling and wanted to go back to her house quickly. Peepa, though, was unsure for a short while. Is it time to go back and tell Jackie what you saw? Peepa was completely mystified and gazed at the television. Someone they had trusted with their home and possessions for so long could not have possibly betrayed them in such a cruel way. She was shocked by what she saw. The reality was more worse than her worst fears. It was time for her spouse to accept her story. As her anger grew, she lost all self-control. Finally, after all of her efforts, she had succeeded in catching Jackie red-handed. Quickly getting into her vehicle, she sped off to her house. Before things got out of hand, she had to be there as quickly as possible. Thankfully, Peepa arrived at the right moment. Jackie was finishing up the house when Peepa screamed her lungs out by barging through the front door. Jackie's supervisor sought an explanation right now since he had not expecting Peepa home until the next day. Jackie, though, was so taken aback that she was speechless. Jackie finally began to understand after a few minutes. When the trap was sprung, she was exposed. However, she attempted to talk herself out of it since she was unaware that her employer had evidence. After exhausting all other options, Jackie finally decided to phone Sam. She had hoped that if she flirted her way out of this, things would turn out better for her. Of course, she was dead wrong. As soon as Sam arrived, he was presented with the evidence. After getting a call from Jackie, he had to get home quickly. He was afraid that his wife might do something she would come to deeply regret. Of course, Peepa was prepared with evidence. Out of her purse, she pulled an iPad and played the video for Sam. Neither Jackie nor her husband knew what Peepa was showing him, but Jackie had a feeling it wasn't good. As Peepa and Sam were scolding Jackie, they received a call from the police. They were informed that the footage had been reported by an unknown source. Jackie was shocked to learn that Peepa and Sam had reported her, but something didn't add up. Why would they report their own housekeeper? As Jackie was being taken away by the police, she couldn't help but wonder who could have reported her. She knew she had made a mistake, but she never expected to be betrayed by her employers. However, she didn't know that Peepa and Sam had no idea who Jackie truly was. Peepa and Sam were angry but decided to forgive Jackie, as long as she promised to never do something like this again, ever. Little did they know, Jackie's secret was not just about the hidden camera. She was one of the best people in the mafia gang, and her boss was none other than Gilachi, one of the most dangerous mafia bosses in the city. Jackie was taken to the police station, where she was interrogated. She revealed her identity as part of a notorious mafia gang. She explained that she was working undercover to gather information about their next target, the house next to Peepa and Sam's. Jackie had been assigned with the task of keeping an eye on the house next to Peepa and Sam's. Her boss had plans to take over that house and wanted Jackie to gather information. But never did she imagine her own boss would be her employer's lost brother. But little did Peepa and Sam know, their house was the actual target. Jackie had been gathering information for the mafia boss Gilachi to plan a robbery. Sam couldn't believe his ears when he received a call from the mafia boss Gilachi, his long-lost brother. It took some time for Sam to process the information, but he was grateful to finally reunite with his brother. However, he was also worried about the dangers that came along with being related to a mafia boss. Gilachi promised to keep Peepa and Sam safe from any harm, as long as they kept his identity a secret from the rest of the world. Peepa and Sam didn't have a choice but to agree, knowing the consequences of going against a mafia boss. They had to keep up the facade of being unaware of Jackie's real identity. That night, while Peepa and Sam were sleeping, the mafia gang broke into their house. However, they were met with resistance from Peepa and Sam, who had been warned by the police. A fight broke out, guns were fired, and Peepa and Sam were able to defend their home. Gilachi was furious when he found out Jackie had betrayed him. He saw her as a threat to his empire and wanted to eliminate her. But Peepa and Sam wouldn't let that happen. As the police arrived, the mafia gang tried to flee, but they were caught and arrested. Gilachi, the mafia boss, was revealed to be Jackie's boss, and he was also arrested. Peepa and Sam were grateful to Jackie, who had unknowingly aided them in capturing the dangerous gang. Gilachi sent his men to Peepa and Sam's house, determined to get rid of Jackie and anyone who stood in his way. It was a battle between good and evil, and the police were unaware of what was happening inside the house. Peepa, Sam, and Jackie fought bravely against Gilachi's men. They were outnumbered, but they refused to back down. The sound of gunshots echoed through the house, and as the dust settled, they realized they had won the battle. Gilachi and the mafia gang were brought to trial and were found guilty for their crimes. They were sentenced to life in prison, thanks to Jackie's confession and evidence. Peepa and Sam were able to sleep peacefully, knowing that the dangerous gang would no longer pose a threat to their safety. Peepa and Sam were relieved to have Jackie and each other by their side. They were also grateful to have found Sam's lost brother, even if he was a mafia boss. Peepa, Sam, and Jackie had been through a lot, but they had come out stronger. They decided to leave the city and start afresh, away from the dangers of the mafia world. They opened a small bed and breakfast by the beach, and it became a safe haven for those who wanted to escape from their past. Peepa, Sam, and Jackie found peace and happiness in their new life. They had overcome their fears, and their bond had become stronger than ever. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of a new adventure. One day, a man wearing a suit and sunglasses arrived at their bed and breakfast. He introduced himself as a CIA agent and informed them that they were now under witness protection. Galachi's men were still out there, seeking revenge, and it wasn't safe for them to stay in the same place for too long. Peepa, Sam, and Jackie were given new identities and moved to another country. They were surprised to see how different their new lives were, but they were also grateful for the second chance they had received. As they settled into their new lives, they discovered some hidden talents. Peepa was a great chef, Sam had a knack for fixing things, and Jackie was a skilled artist. They decided to use their talents to start a new business, which became a huge success in their new community. One day, as they were busy with their business, they received a letter from Sam's lost brother, Galachi. He had been released from prison and wanted to meet them. They were hesitant at first, but decided to give him a chance. Galachi was a changed man, and he wanted to make things right with his brother and his new family. He had also found a new purpose in life, helping those who wanted to leave the mafia world. After many years, Peepa and Sam's grandchildren were told the story of their adventurous grandparents and their friends. Their legacy was passed down from generation to generation, inspiring many to never give up, even in the face of danger.